In the past and soon, in the past and soon, young couples of mating age only saw the boys and girls from another tribe. Rarely, not in any way like the modern public education. I would I would like them mentally prepared. In the past and soon, young couples of mating age only saw boys and girls from other tribes rarely, not in any way like public education. I would like them mentally prepared. I've asked for this in the name of Christ Jesus and will not be convinced otherwise that it's a good idea. I don't think it's too much to ask to prepare your children for. It's not called a sex hunch, it's a sex drive. And you know what they're going to go through, so quit acting stupid. Pretty soon, things are going to be where the narrow road children meet the narrow road children. Rarely. And when they do, they should be mentally prepared for I get it. Me likey, that whole thing. It's a bare minimum as far as I'm concerned. And we will need to think about it in the context of the very soon. What's going down is going down. It could be starting yesterday with the immigrant riots in Los Angeles. Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood Was Armageddon. That's right. The Mud Flood was the Armageddon. Don't let anyone tell you anything else unless they are willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. Like Gerard would do. Hola, brother. I like to be called the Paco. Not the Paco, Salt Paco. Me habla español, es poquito, muy feo. Yeah. I was thinking about you yesterday, going like, well, I don't want to be calling them up every time there's a riot in LA. But you were on my mind this morning. I watched a video I think you did. I'm pretty sure you put it together. I did part of it, but you were breaking it down like a breaking downer breaks things down. I got to go through the motions. Oh no, I'm not leaving that up. I almost left that up through the whole going through the motions. Look at there, going through the motions. I'm disclaimed, but I will be giving a lot of advice, financial, spiritual, medical advice from the Christian prophet point of view. I think that's my right. I'm standing on my rights here. Everybody likes that. Any pictures? Oh, hey, I got an email from one of the people that are taking my complaint seriously. And they said, you got proof they made up a bill and said you owe this kind of money. And, yeah. So there's those pictures. And then there was this small picture, but I had to do it. You see, this is on the 45 record of the Immigrant Song. What are the odds of that? 100%. What are the odds that it'd be Aleister Crowley saying, the whole fulfillment of the law is do what thou will? Where'd we hear that? From the Blavatskyites. Here's a little better picture of it, but I had to cut it out to make a thumbnail. On we rush with thrashing oars. Hey, look, these are the companies that if you leave this checked on your YouTube account, this comes checked, ready to go. Here's some that will gain all of your training. You're okaying the training. You didn't know. Now you do. Do you give one patootie? Not one hair on the patootie of a rat. This is unchecked for me. Nobody here gets tracked. So here's some other one. Look, IBM, all these people want to track you. Well, Amazon, they're going to track you, man. Hey, look, that's my mini bike. And this is one of the times I was going like, is that Sergio's cousin taking photographs? These are all tear gas canisters. They were bombing the crap out of them. They were shooting those bullets like they were going out of style. And that's my exact little e-bike. I had to get another e-bike because I had to get pedals on it. And my other one has got I wrecked it so many times and so hard, relearning, thinking I still had it. It's a paramount situation, paramount to, hey, that's for a YouTube film to YouTube at 3:30 in the afternoon. Stop traffic at 7th and Main at 3:30. They emphasize that. Where the streets have no name. I think still building and burning down love. It's something like that. We're all done with that. Did anybody get to see the pictures? Hope so. Let's start the show. Look, were the Hebrews immigrants in the Bible? The answer is yes. They were left homeless in Mesopotamia. And there was a lot of talk in the Bible about immigration, how you treat them, how they live there. I'm getting a vibe in the spirit that the Ku Klux Klan used the same methods of, forget you were immigrants, you've been here now. Well, as long as the millennials and Generation X have been alive and that everything is focused on, oh, your future is getting screwed by mommy and daddy. Not this mommy and daddy, the orphan train ones. Those guys that, oh, you don't have to purge us. Don't send us to the asylum. We're down with the program. Or we're being brainwashed to themselves. Not my mom, not my dad. What makes you different than everybody else? Immigrants. Lord, have blessed this Bible reading. Obadiah, verse 1-4. Thus says Lord God concerning Edom, we have heard a report from the Lord, and a messenger has been sent among the nations. Rise up. Let us rise up against her for battle. Behold, I will make you small among the nations until you are utterly despised. The pride of your heart has deceived you, you who live in the clefts of the rock, in your lofty star fort dwelling places. I added the star fort. Who stay in the heart of the star fort, who will bring me down to the ground? Though you soar aloft like the eagle, though your nest is set among the stars, From there, I will bring you down, declares the Lord. When are we going to start looking at the scripture for flat earth proofs like we all do now? And we know 150 of them. Of this verse implies that they were waiting on the rapture back then. Well, your nest is set among the stars. That puts them pretty close proximity to the mountains. Hey, you ever heard of those movies, The Godfather? He did it. He did it. That's not Jimmy the Fox or, whatever pick a nickname, pick a mafia nickname for this guy from somebody from one of the books that, he writes the screenplays for the Godfather movies and a bunch of other things. He's a filthy rich. He's a paisano from, where the heck was he from? Somewhere near Brooklyn. Hell's Kitchen. He's from Hell's Kitchen, New York. Never mind the Brooklyn thing. This guy's from Hell's Kitchen. First screenplay like Rocky Balboa. I mean, Sylvester Stallone. First thing he wrote was Rocky. I get to be the star and I'll sell it to you cheap. Yo, hey there, Adrian. Jimmy the Never Late for Breakfast. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, another mafia. This tells the whole story and tries to paint the mafia as the good guy, even though that Vito Corleone, well, hey, I'm saving that.
This masterpiece lies a hidden truth.
Maybe that'll get it. Okay, so this is a stop and drop commentary. I showed the disclaimer. This is how the mafia set it up. This is your hero in The Godfather Part 2, Vito Corleone. He's making a deal with this guy. He taught him how to, he stole a rug because he helped him with the deal. And now he's getting $100 from these guys and he's going to make his first offer. You remember me. If this works out good, I'm going to go talk to him and we're going to make a deal. He kills him.
Hey, Vito, ma tu sei sicuro che hai intuito di sì?
Non scandare. I'll make an offer you don't refuse. Don't worry.
Anyway, this guy here, the head of the local Black Hand, this was all new reset world, 1920s. Ban alcohol, women get the vote, confiscate the gold coins and the paper that was backed by the gold coin thing, the whole build all the dams in the whole world, everywhere around the world or across the world. So yeah, there's $100 and he's going to laugh at him.
Solo 100 scudi. Sono accorto di monete. Che vuoi?
You say one thing, you meet another, and he talks to him and he goes, he's going to pay him back. He ask around. He's been working. He'll help him. Come on, give it a little time. I know movies were slow and dark back then. You can work for me. That's what they always want. No hard feelings, right? You got the $100. You're making payments to me now. Come around. I'll get you some work. he didn't like it when he rubbed his cheek. I got to show you the rub the cheek thing there. He didn't like that, not even a little bit. He already was going to kill him. But this is how the mafia walked around their neighborhood as immigrants, and now they rule the world. Well, part of this world. And of course, this is accurate. This isn't honoring Jesus. It's for the Virgin Mary situation. And you pin dollar bills to it because it's another form of indulgence. So he follows the Don. Look at the Don. He's going to pin the money. Mud flood buildings, of course, of course. So this was all planned. And of course, he's the good godfather. Bought all the judges. Let this build and simmer. This is your sermon.
In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
So anyway, he kills him. Kills him dead. Gets his money back. Shoots him in the chest, shoots him in the eye, dramatically timed for the other gunfire. Saint Rocco. Never heard of him. So he gets his money back. Okay, Vito and his wife's friend.
Bene, Don Michele, aspettate. Questo è per voi, eh? Arrivederci. Signor Roberto,
So this man is from Brooklyn. He rents an apartment. A girl's got a dog. I wish they showed it, the beginning. You can look it up. Vito's wife says, "Oh, Vito, my friend is getting kicked out. Can you do something for her? Everybody knows you're such a good man and will help. Have a talk with this guy and let her stay." And this guy's from Brooklyn. He hasn't heard about the new reputation of the man who killed the Black Hand. And now he's the man because he murdered somebody.
Mi chiamo Vito Corleone.
And do you see the Masonic? I never noticed until I rewatched portions of these movies 2 nights ago. Every time these mafia guys shake hands, oh yeah.
Mia moglie, signor Comune.
Oh yeah.
Lei sì che senza nuda ragione apparatus fa. È una poverezza vittima, che senza nulla che la difende. Una meschina, una venuta, una vesova, deve solo solucionare.
Già l'affettai a casa. È un'altra famiglia.
Io ci misi che veniva a parlare con voi, come si capisce la ragione sta cosa doveva fare? Io si sbarazzati da besci che cos'ha tutto sto casino. E allora? E perché non può stare?
Non posso.
E perché?
Non posso.
Ma você è siciliano?
And there you go with the, are you Sicilian again? This was a big deal. The mafia's had a real war. And these movies explain it. And a mafia, at least now that it's probably the Jewish and Italian are the big ones, but they all have a piece of the pie. They all are allowed to wet their beak because everybody knows there's going to be some immorality. It's going to be some cashing in on it, but they didn't know it. They'd start training your children to bet on, will the next pitch be a home run or a strikeout, and everything in between.
No, no, sono calabrese io.
Io vado mano stufagol, un paesano nauta.
Ma già l'affettai, eh? Io non ne posso fare malafiguri che non vincolini. Non pagano più assai.
Vabbè, quanto pagano che sai un mese?
5 scodi.
Ci sono 6 mesi d'anticipo.
120.
Non ci decise niente, te una cristiano orgoglioso.
I see.
E mi venisse a trovare in dannati 6 mesi.
$40 is all.
Ma c'è
Oh,
un
that
cane a stare, eh?
Eh?
Un cane a stare.
Sto cazzo!
Look, he's gonna kick his Sicilian ass.
Sto cazzo sì, che stanno a cavolo un ordine a mia mano comanda. Oh, poi stare attenta come parlo con me, capiste? Ma se noi con un un tocco, sai quando ti manda a sbattere? Andate, faccio volare, tu mezzo della strada, andate a base.
Non fai
He's a
questo piacere. Spiegati chi sono. Io non mi scordo. E spiace amici tuoi in questo vicinato che sono io. Io tu sanno dire come io saccio favore. A sa bene dire.
Non sa bene vedere. Perché qua? Arriva.
Vedi, qualcuno è arrivato. Mi ha domandato tutto il quartiere per sapere di
Grazie.
Scusatemi, spero che non mi viene a sconcecare, Don Vito.
E che posso fare, Don Roberto?
Come ne capiamo male? Madonna, come ne capiamo male? Ma come?
So needless to say, he's found out who's in charge of the mafia now. He cuts the rent. She keeps the dog. That's the way the mafias do things. And it was, no, that's not it. We'll see what we get from the Cuba deal here. These are all good clips. That's the one I want. Well, here's the deal. His name is Hyman Roth. That's supposed. This is like Lucky Luciano.
About my age.
And
Sees the cake before we.
you know, his name escapes me right now. His lawyer, Maya
Very
Lansky.
pleased. You're all able to come from such distances to be with me today. When a man comes to this point in his life, he wants to turn over the things he's been blessed with. Turn them over to friends as a reward for the friends he's had, and to make sure.
Do you see how close to tradition? Oh, he's only 67. Huh, I'm 67, and he's acting like he's ready to die.
That everything goes well after he's gone.
Not for years.
Well, we'll see. The doctors would disagree, but what do they know? These are wonderful things that we've achieved in Havana, and there's no limit to where we can go from here. This kind of government knows how to help business, to encourage it.
No, they're not talking about this type of government knows how to help crime. This is simply business to them. People are going to be people. You know, you do your best to keep them good, keep them in line. If there's going to be any gouging, that's, you know, everybody gets their fair share. You can't break it down. And they're acting, you know, like this guy's dad who murdered is the good guy and he's the bad guy. They're all bad guys. It's being rewritten somehow to bring the Catholic Church in. Stick around.
The hotels here are bigger and swankier than any of the rough joints we put in Vegas. And we can thank our friends in the Cuban government.
Look at that. He's got a bona fide hitman just serving cake.
We just put up half of the cash with the Teamsters on a dollar-for-dollar basis.
Teamsters,
As
dollar for
relaxed
dollar.
restrictions on imports.
They're going to raid
What I'm
those
saying
kitchens.
is-
Even they couldn't control their own greed.
That we have now what we have always needed. Real partnership with the government. Smaller piece. You all know Michael Corleone. And
He
we all know his
lying.
father. Nacional will go to the Lakeville Road boys. The Capri to the Corleone family. The Sevilla Biltmore also, but Eddie Levine of Newport will bring in the Panino brothers, Dino and Eddie, for a piece and also to handle the actual casino operations. And we've saved a piece for some friends in Nevada to make sure that things go smooth back home.
So it's a plan.
The truck's owned by your father. Michael. I'd rather we talked about this when we were alone. The 2 million never got to the island.
Uh-oh.
Anna, when you were a baby. The truck's owned by your father.
So he's talking, anyway, he says at this point in
But it
history,
occurred to
the mafia is
The
bigger
soldiers are paid.
than,
The rebels aren't.
What is that? So, enjoy. Handle the actual casino operations. And we've saved a piece for some friends.
let's hear a little bit
Nevada,
more.
to make sure that things go smooth back home. I want all of you to enjoy your cake. So, enjoy.
Anyway, we're not going to focus too much on it, but the mafia is in control. They did it in World War II. This is the retelling of Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky, who got let out of prison and had his friends help lead the invasion of Sicily, then Italy, and kick those Nazis out. Sure, it's all a rewrite.
Mafia families. To understand the truth behind Vito Corleone, we must dive into the shadows of history and explore the men whose lives may have shaped Mario Puzo's iconic character. At the core of the Corleone family's empire is Vito Corleone, a man who runs his operations with a mix of brutal efficiency and an unshakable sense of loyalty.
Yeah, that's basically their story they're going to stick to. Now, Mario Puzo career, they say he published a short story, wrote his first novel in 55, decided to write his first play, his best known work, and it was published into a book and became a screenplay, and it was on the best, that's over a year, 9 million copies. And it was known for having what would be considered child pornography in it today, with the pictures of the Italian actress who played Michael Corleone's second wife, bigamist Michael Corleone, the hero, the good guy, the good mafia guy. That's part of the deal. That's what they deal in. Anyway, was his first one? Yeah, first draft. Oh, well, he got famous after that because he was good at writing it. But anyway, he's in the mob. We need a reminder, a volvella of the moon. Get a little closer look at that. We'll just clean up these three pictures here. It could be anything, a wheel chart. And a wheel chart? Robust growth in the design, manufacture, and production of independent, freestanding volvellas. Categorically, they not only represent an unusually eclectic set of uses, but demonstrate also a remarkable range of stylistic, compositional, mechanical, informational, and kinetic physical conceits. I don't think I've ever heard that term before, and I've heard a lot of terms. I want to see one of those GIFs, see what they're talking about. So it's doing something to the bird, or making the feathers fall? Yeah, it's part of a thing. I don't want to waste any time on that. But I do know that a famous album cover delayed the album's release because they were working on the Volvelle, and it had to do, the theme was around the Thelema, the occult of Aleister Crowley. He won't go away. And I guess it hadn't really been that long. He's 15 years younger than my grandfather, who was born in 1889. And they all were bringing this back around the time they had a reset, people. The World War I, World War II, 1958 mafia takeover has caused a worldwide reset. They can't cover it up forever. The 9/11 was, I guess, like a line in the sand. Aleister Crowley, Christian humanist. And now as they look back, everybody kind of leaned that way. That was smart. At least that's what the Roman Catholics would have you believe with their OTO, their other Jesuit. Who knows how many? They got a white, black pope. Do they have a green pope? An orange pope? Well, I look like Nut, but it doesn't. Yeah, that's Nut going. That's her hands. They just want to change it into a woman dome. Go figure. Okay, I guess it's kind of like, gee whiz, I wonder where, the Kabbalah got it, Oh, and Jack Parsons, that's from LA. That was his stomping ground, that Boeing, that Saturn V thing. That's where they all practiced. The hills were a lot closer. Here, let's look at, so when did they start this? 1970, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Pink Fairies. Oh, a punk rock band. This is bigger than Woodstock. Same guy, he was at the Woodstock. This is more of an English thing. Woodstock. I think Woodstock. But this was a big deal because Led Zeppelin was there. Donovan was there. I dated his maid in 1979. Sunshine came softly through the window that night. Anyway, we were in Joshua Tree, California, 29 Palms. Left-handed PA. That was one of their big deals, honey. So this was just because this is how they brought the world everything they want. Led Zeppelin played there for 3 hours. First song out the gate. The Immigrant Song. Played in F minor, 112 beats. It's the first song out in there, that big, it's the heavy metal myth of Viking-esque figures on an adventure looking for beer, sex, and rock and roll, themes that have been adopted by Iron Maiden, Saxon, Manowar, Amon Amarth. And here's where I learned that. Detail on the 45 single of the Immigrant Song showing a secret inscription. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Well, we know who said that. We don't have. It's unlike the satanic backward masking on Stairway to Heaven. This appears to be genuine hidden message, quoting the same thing. Led Zeppelin 3 was when they changed their sound. They had been pumping out the money. They made 2 albums and they said, these guys sure can. Been a long time since they rock and rolled and they were ready to do it, but now they were going to get the double bass, mandolin, synthesizers. There's double guitars, Jimmy Page. The album was the most anticipated after The Moon was reached in 1969. They thought they could throw this out there. And they had, its shipping date was held up. I wonder if November 5th it was released, but it was held up because they argued about the importance of the Vovelle. You're one of the few people that even knows what that is and has a vague idea of how to pronounce it. So they went to these houses where they all go to. It turns out all those rockers used the same, it looks like haunted houses in Snowdonia, near here. Somehow they get obsessed. They recorded it in the Rolling Stones mobile studio that was used by very many people. But they just needed to have a more relaxed time to be alone and realize, wow, we just made a lot of money. How can we cash in on this for the rest of it? Now, here's another, I racked up my brain. I wonder if I'm sharing the screen. I should check on that more often. But I was racking my brain thinking, can I think of any song that I ever, liked on the radio that I think was not demonic or set up by demonic things? And I remembered one. And before we hear the Immigrant Song, Here's one that I used to kind of like. I dare say that the band I kept trying to get into was better than that when they were at their best. And that was usually without me. But it just seems like, you know what I mean? It's a song about a girl. Would that go over today, or would the guy feel obligated to, there he, she, or whatever they want to be goes, and I think she's cute. That's what they want. I don't know if it's what they're going to get, but it is something different. Now let's look up the Immigrant Song. I'll interpret it for you. I know the lyrics pretty much. That's a F flat with a little bit of distortion. He's going to go, ah, ah. He's going to start their whole, they come from the land, from the ice and snow, from the midnight sun. Where the hot springs flow. From the midnight sun where the hot springs flow. We'll drive our ships to new lands, fight the hordes. So something about glory in battle. Valhalla, Valhalla, I am coming. On, yeah. Ooh, I meant to hit click. Sorry for the dead air. You know, it's like, imagine somebody rowing really hard. They sweep those oars. So on we sweep with thrashing oars. Our only goal is the Western Shore. It's a Viking myth, and people believe it because it's like, oh, I found some settlements with it. Well, they didn't have a horn and anything like the Vikings, but some alphabet. This is getting outrageous because it's going to be like, tonight you better start reaping all the ruin. They have soft fields so green that whisper tales of horror because of the battles that You got that right. We are your overlords. They conquered. On we sweep. You don't think that they're coming for you? I know you don't. You don't think that it'd be possible that you're going to have to go, my goodness, I think my neighbor ate her child. That'll wake up a lot of women. Ah! Wow.
The unruly mobs just took over Los Angeles, as it literally looks like
So this is going to be the George Bush side of the, no, not the George Bush, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Not Barack Obama either.
been conquered. As the ICE protests were essentially encouraged by the mayor, more of these foreign forces started to show up in the streets, destroying parts of their own city.
But he's not going to be able to even that is not being
As nothing
destroyed.
stops federal law enforcement faster than lightly vandalizing your own streets. But finally, LAPD marched in to try to control things. When the protesters tried to breach the ICE facility, with people in black bloc attacking the building.
You know, this whole immigrant thing is out of control. Look at these guys.
And even a defenseless Waymo, those automated taxis, got destroyed.
The mafia
And
would
again,
never do
nothing
that.
stops the feds from enforcing the law, then vandalize.
And don't forget, who are the ones that used to wear the masks all the time? The federal agents that were agent provocateur. Did that sound like a French? Because the parlez-vous français? Nah.
A taxi that serves your community, but the local police seem pretty defenseless.
What kind of
as the
thing
mayor
is
had already
that?
Spoke out against law enforcement.
Watch out, or I'm going to get rid of all the mosquitoes in your neighborhood. Look at that fat cop next to him. Is that the guy that goes like, "Hey, McLovin, what do you want for dinner?"
Raise that gun to me again. Let's move. You gotta chill the out, Al.
And this guy here, you know, when he's not doing this, he's playing the part of Hot Rod in the movies, you know, Adam Schlandler. No, the other younger guy, Hot Rod, that guy. Did you fix the ramp? No, you didn't have enough time.
Shattering the windshield and injuring the agent, as this guy in a yellow dirt bike helmet was throwing rocks at not only the marked patrol cars, but any random car driving by. So now the FBI's deputy director is looking for that specific guy, as these so-called protesters are under the assumption that in LA, local DAs don't really follow through with prosecution, but federal agencies.
But this guy here, he has a pretty good show. He's under this other guy, and they're not always so pro-white green.
With President Trump stating, if Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass can't do
Look
their
at that.
job,
These are the president of the United States. It sounds like when I was in 7th grade. My name's not Newscom, you know.
and we know they can't, that he'll step in and solve the issue the way it should be solved, and then promptly went out to go watch the UFC fight. With the governor crying about the
Oh man, that's good. Let's see this guy. Oh, he's doing it now? He's still live? How long has this guy been going?
The white
man,
building
first
on the
thing I
right
do is-
includes, it's MDC Los Angeles, which is a federal prison.
So is this from yesterday, I think?
So 2 federal buildings right there on the left and right.
Yeah, this
There's
is
also
about,
a federal detention center, I believe. Yes, today, but we figured we'd give you an update here, bring you some updates, take some comments and questions on the air. And there are courts in that building. I think there's a detention center there as well. There's several. I believe there's.
I don't think
several
this
federal
goes back.
buildings on that block. I got to look it up again. But there is the Edward R. Roybal Federal Building in U.S. Guard troops have begun deploying in Los Angeles. There are some there on the screen right now. Well, not right this second. A couple seconds ago. You'll see them in a second. Right over there. There's several.
Okay, so I want the one here. This one will have it because it shows the beginning. I want you to hear when they say, clear the area, or we're going to be using these type of non-lethal weapons. And she lists about 20 of them over and over.
A lot of people out there.
The only thing they have is fear again. A society in the country that's demanding of their own power.
I know that you have your mind made up on this issue. Can you give it a rest and just look at both sides and remember that, you know, your great grandparents were immigrants that went through the same thing. We've excluded the Chinese, invited them back in. This is all a reset up. There is no, oh, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys, but there are people losing their homes, families breaking up who are good people. And you can always go out. There's agent provocateurs at every level of this, but your Christian compassion has to be overall knowing. I don't think all of them want to be doing this. She very well may. So we missed the battle?
Some of our viewers are concerned that there could be like looting tonight. I hope there's not.
There's that guy on my mini bike. Well, that's not exactly the same one I had because mine has a bigger seat.
The DHS claimed that yesterday 1,000 rioters surrounded a federal law enforcement building and assaulted ICE law enforcement officers, slashed tires, stations, and taxpayer-funded property. Reuters was unable to verify the DHS's claims. Oh, look, there's a bunch of screws on the ground. Screws probably from Home Depot, in the Home Depot carts. There's a Home Depot right there, you can see it.
The Home Depot, they turned the carts into a blockade. Now, eventually the cops have enough, as always, right? So here they come. They're going to come rolling up over this hill. I'll let you see some of that. And then they're going to want to be going like, okay, get out or we're going to hit you with rubber bullets, and then listen to the list when we get there.
Things thrown at officers too in Paramount?
There's me, always looking for a chance to take my shirt off. I'm always cold, but when the sun's out, I am ready. Because normally I'm bundled up all the time. Oh, these guys got... Nope, this is...
Oh, I have a different video. Hold on, new video. I'm going to switch to a new video. Let's switch.
Oh, I didn't want you to switch. I wanted to hear the people announcing you have to leave.
More More looks like more border.
When he
patrol
switches, he goes to that
moving out
other
from this location.
federal building, prison.
Thank you also, Brax. Oh, just heard a boom though. Thank
So
you
they
also,
bring in the
Brax,
cops to
for
chase
being
these people out, and
Maybe
there's not
still
even a crowd anymore.
Fireworks, flashbangs. I don't know.
Yeah, flashbangs, rubber bullets, kinetic energy,
Tear gas.
tear gas. So did we miss it?
He said it feels like a COVID shutdown.
Truck number 3 ready to go. Waiting for other truck number 3. Anyway, I'll find another clip with that. Some attorneys who handle these cases of college just saying, you know, I don't want this person to talk to me. The attorneys who handle the cases argue that no contact orders can leave students vulnerable and violate due process. Last year, FIRE, a free speech organization, sent Princeton a joint letter with the ADL warning about weaponization of Title IX policies after 2 separate instances in which no contact or communication orders were imposed on student journalists covering pro-Palestine protest. Shortly after the university revised its policy, the university spokesman declined to comment on the reasons behind the change, but earlier told the student newspaper that it was in response to community concerns. Very rarely does the Wall Street Journal give you a free article. No contact orders. Originally meant to protect victims of sexual harassment. Now you can just say, this guy looked at me funny, and they're throwing them out there. And it's a way to do it, for Title IX. Well, this whole thing has to be looked at. I'm completely involved in that situation. Pray for it. I just submitted it. They are taking it serious. I feel like the Lord has let them bless. Now, when we see in Exodus 21, when an ox gores a man or a woman to death, the ox will be stoned, and the flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox will not be liable. The ox, if he has been accustomed to gore in the past, well, then that's a different thing. That owner is going to be put to death. But the whole thing's about, it's his food shall not be diminished or the marital rights. The law is very complete. Even if men strive together and hit a pregnant woman and it comes out there's no harm, the one who hit her shall be fined, as the husband's wife shall impose on him. And this is where you get the eye. If there is harm, then you shall pay life for life, eye for eye. Now, there's always been in their world a type of economic system. That's what all of this goes back to, of restitution. Your donkey falls into a pit. Who's responsible for what? It's what it comes down to in your life and my life. It's what, financially, physically, spiritually. I've seen grown men, painfully ask, I fathered a child. What do I owe them? What's my end? They don't have any idea now. Let's see. Deuteronomy 13, verse 6, if your brother, the son of your mother, or the son of your daughter, or the wife you embrace, or your friend who is as your own soul entices you secretly, saying, let us go serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, some of the gods of the people who are around you, whether near or far off from you, from the one end of the earth to the other, you shall not yield to him or listen unto him, nor shall your eye pity him, nor shall you spare him, nor shall you conceal him, but you shall kill him. Your hand shall be first against him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people. You shall stone him to death with stones, because he sought to draw you away from the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and never again do any such wickedness as this among you. Well, we're beating our swords into plowshares, but at this point in life, this was their world, and it was real, and there were those punishments. And the world that you live in now, where they have a pope that wasn't even a cardinal until 2 years ago, and they have a growing army of Roman Catholics, one of the many tubes that has over 100,000, where they're reinstituting, it's time to bring back, Catholicism, even if they have to mix it with the Noahide laws. And they want to use that verse, Deuteronomy 13:14. Did you not think there'd be some sort of a plan for this sermon, even if it was weak, to show you that somehow the Lord was going to tie it together, where you're going to go like, wow, it is the Jesuits, it is the Rosicrucians, the mafia. And who are those other guys I exposed? Crowley's?
Probe and investigate it thoroughly. Like ancient Israel, medieval Europe was a society of kingdoms that were formally consecrated to God. So it's entirely understandable that these Catholics would read their Bibles and conclude that for the good of their Christian society, they, like the Israelites before them, must purge the evil from the midst of you. The Apostle Paul repeats this principle in 1 Corinthians 5:13.
Okay, you can only say something that outrageous, right? About, you got to purge all these wicked people. That's why we did 4 inquisitions. But this is how they got to break it in soft. We were killing them for their own good, and they exaggerate the numbers because you can trust us. We're from Rome.
Victim being executed by a gigantic pendulum. We should immediately note that both of these depictions of the Inquisition feature torture devices that never actually existed. The Iron Maiden is a total myth, as are a lot of the devices shown in this scene. As for pendulums, there's zero evidence such things were ever used for torture. But regardless of how inaccurate this kind of media is, it both reflects and reinforces popular misunderstandings about the Inquisition. It's become amazing how out of touch this perception is with the conclusions of actual historians. The Inquisition today is mostly brought up for Christian bashing, by people with an incentive to demonize the religion. But it did.
People, and in their world of wrong theology, Satan doesn't care if you're a Protestant believing in the false Trinity, or somebody from Rome in obvious rebellion against the Bible. They're both. One's a millstoner, the other's been millstone. One will get judged harder, one's still going to hell.
Didn't actually start with them. These narratives go all the way back to 1500s England.
John Dee performing magic before Queen Elizabeth. I don't know where her son is, King James the First.
During England's transition from Catholic to Protestant, anti-Inquisition propaganda was used to denounce both Catholicism and England's main rival, Spain. Similar claims were later made in the 17 and 1800s by anti-clerical.
So you get the idea. They're going to just prop it up, man. Jesus and these guys were ready to kill
so-called Christians saying the name of God in our current time. I apologize for what you're about to see, but it's necessary.
I believe in the non-binary God, whose pronouns are plural. I believe in Jesus Christ, their child, who wore a fabulous tunic and had 2 dads.
Jesus is black. We could also say Jesus is gay.
And that means that there will be more drag preachers. Amen?
Now that you have an idea of what heresy looks and sounds like, let's talk a bit about the history of inquisitions. Through Christian history, there were several different official inquisitions, but inquisition of some form or another has always been part of Christian.
Really? I don't want to make it part of our church, you know? It's not what the Bible means by inquiry. And of course, starting it off, you know, they have to add their dark ages. They discovered the globe. They poisoned everybody's mind. And it started with Josephus. You know him as your big friend Josephus, confirmer of the book of Enoch, maybe.
Against heresies was written by Saint Irenaeus in 180 AD. The church rightfully considered her duty to educate and guide all the baptized. It should be obvious that allowing false Christian teachings to run rampant would have been a death sentence for early Christianity.
Oh, really?
Without authority and order.
So anyway, there's a scene I need you to see.
No one would have been able to define what Christianity even is. Imagine being a Roman citizen and hearing 10 different versions of Christianity. It would make it much more confusing and harder to...
So basically what they're doing is saying it's so confusing. What we have to come down to is a simple test. Do you believe in the Trinity or not? We'll rip your skin off if you don't. I do. Mark of the beast, mafias, Rosicrucians.
To convert. In those days, the church responded to false teachings with denunciation. And, if persistent, expulsion from the community. Priests and church leaders found guilty of spreading false doctrine were subject to flogging and imprisonment. These early, disorganized inquisitions brought order to what could have been chaos.
So that's how they're going to do it. Now, look how fast they say one heresy grew.
Some kind of early Protestantism or anything like that. It was essentially its own new religion. It blended together Gnosticism, which claimed to have a secret source of religious knowledge, and Manichaeism, which taught that matter is evil. The Catholics believed in 2 gods, the good God of the New Testament and the evil God of the Old Testament.
Does that sound familiar to anybody?
Following their belief that the material world is evil, they engaged in ritualistic suicide, rejected procreation, and refused to take oaths. Now, obviously, in a feudal society, this meant they opposed all government authority. Because of this, Catharism was both a moral and political danger. The original church response to the Cathars was persuasion through dialogue.
Sure.
But the Cathars continued to engage in violent, openly rebellious acts, and even
like protesting immigration when you were like been here 20 years or something.
Assassinated a papal diplomat. All of this led Pope Innocent III, who had been favorable to peaceful dialogue, to finally call on French leaders to launch a crusade to defeat Catharism once and for all. Although the war was successful in breaking Catharism's power, it was
by killing them all. Now where's the one graphic, and I'll let you go. But I really think you need to. Is this it? So here's what they say in 1107. Watch this part.
And killed the would-be assassins. The treatment of Muslims and Jews in Spain reflected Spain's difficult history and struggle for existence through the centuries. Due to constant wars for survival, the Spanish perceived Muslims, and eventually Jews as well, as dangerous groups that couldn't be trusted.
Look at what the computer had.
It should be noted that different
it's going too fast. 1107.
Wars for survival, the Spanish perceived Muslims, and eventually Jews as well, as dangerous groups that couldn't be trusted in their society. It should be noted that different Catholic societies had their own views on this issue. History, and they couldn't Muslim history and struggle for existence through the centuries. Due to constant wars for survival, the Spanish...
Look at that. See, this is what their history had to do to say, well, that's why they built castles that had this on it. That's why they did. Oh, Galatia, you're going away. When? Now. Oh. So that's pretty busy writing a history when it's going to be ignored. Well, they didn't even show it all. So it's all tied up. There you go. And it's like a regular church service that only lasted a little over an hour. And it's what you need to know. Are we going to flood tonight? Yeah, but I don't think the Mississippi is fulfilling what it's going to do when it shuts down New Orleans. Not tonight, but it's inevitable. Everything's going to be reset. The coins in your pocket that make you feel comfortable right now, I hope you're investing them wisely in your future that will give your wife's confidence to make you live up to. If you weren't around when I read what I read when I started this, you should go back and revisit it. This is a flat earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. After the mud flood, there was that 1,000-year reign. After the 1,000-year reign, there were two, put in your sickles and reap, for the good and the bad. Then you got your whole orphan trained brain for your grandparents putting the strain on your relationships. Or is that it? Anyway, it's a flat earth nation, and me and my friends will never tell you anything else because we're one, called, two, chosen, three, being faithful to having your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. And knock 'em